Haya, mwimbe song moja. Ngine haraka.
Jesus, Jesus, as soon as the King, to close and open the gates of heaven. Jesus, Jesus, as soon as the King, to close and open the gates of heaven. Jesus, Jesus, as soon as the King, to close and open the gates of heaven. Jesus, Jesus, as soon as the King, to close and open the gates of heaven. Jesus, Jesus, as soon as the King, to close and open the gates of heaven.
Very nice.
Hey.
That man was the husband of, that is the father of Vincent, died of a road accident in Nairobi. And then his mother started taking over and helping them and struggling for them. And the grandmother took some of the older boys from the home and took them to a place called El Bargon in Kenya. And when they were there, they met Pastor William. But Vincent was with his grandmother. And his mother had gone to a place called Cheppema to look for a job. And she got some, what you call manual labor to work in a hospital. But then she left Vincent with the grandmother, who was very old. But his mother started drinking, alcohol. And the grandmother was already getting too old. And the grandmother was chased away from home. And he stayed with the grandmother again elsewhere. Now in that new place they didn't have a home, they didn't have even a house, and they were just desperate and sleeping in the cold. And most of the time he says they didn't even have food to eat. And when he became ill, sometimes the grandmother could not afford medicine, so she just went to the bush and cut some herbs and bring it to him. And when they went back to Londiani, to their former home, again the uncle chased them away. And then they went again and stayed. He went and stayed with his mother in Cheppema. But his mother became sick, became ill. In 2010, the year 2010, the mother became critically ill. And yeah, she was suffering from various ailments. And she could not even she could not take any treatment anymore.
Na watu wa nyumbani wako wanashughulikia.
And nobody cared for her anyway.
Asa kwa ntumia pia kuzuia pekee.
So she just kept suffering and trying to use herbs.
Sika mwaka 2011.
And last year now,
aliweza kugonjeka kutoka Januari.
She became very ill from January
mpaka March.
Until March. She died on 3rd of March last year. So his elder brother said, because they were here at Cheppema for many years, he decided to just go for Vincent and bring him also. He's very happy to be here, and he loves it. He loves here very much.
Okay, asante sana.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story.
They used to go to school, yes. When they go back home from school, they find their parents very drunk. One day, her mother, that day the father was so drunk and the father was drunk and beat the mother. And the mother ran away from home. And so they were left with the father. The following day they could not go to school. And then the father asked them what they were doing at home. And he asked, the children said, we want to go back to school. But the father said, you cannot go back to school. Because he was drunk. And he said to them, if you go back to school, I will send you away from this home with your mother for good. And what they did, they went to the neighbors. When they went to their neighbors, the father followed them. When the mother came back, they were all chased away again from home. Then they stayed in the bush for about a week. They didn't have any food. The third day, they tried to come back home. But the father was still drunk. And then from that day, they never went back to school again. And the mother became sickly. And the grandmother was too old to take care of them. So when the mother was so sick, she tried to go to hospital. But the father continued drinking. They had cows. But the father sold everything and went with the money to drink. And the mother was still very sick, very ill. The grandmother tried as much as she could to take her to hospital. But there was nothing more to give. Because the father had sold everything away. When the mother was taken to Nakuru hospital, she was admitted in hospital for a month. And then she was told, you can go back home now. She had a cancer. She went back home. She stayed at home for a week. But the children could not go to school anymore. So they continued staying with the sick mother. But the father came all the time, chasing them out of the home. They went to the grandmother's home.
Gogo tena naye ana struggle kitu mingi sana.
The grandmother had nothing to give, to offer to them.
Yo siku hiyo hatukuwa na ile chote ya kula.
So they practically ate nothing for a long time.
Sasa siku hiyo mama yetu akaaga tuo sana.
And then the mother died in 2007.
Baba bado anaendelea. Senye baba aliaga, mama aliaga.
When the mother died,
Baba alikuwa anaendelea kunywa pombe.
the father continued drinking, he didn't even care.
Haya siku hiyo. Haya siku hiyo. Baba. Siku hiyo baba alikuwa nini? Naye akakonjeka.
And the father also started becoming sick.
Naye na bado tuko na ujungu ya mama.
And they were still suffering from the loss of the mother.
Mungu akamuokoa tu baba.
But the father became a bit well again.
Tukakaa tu kwenda shule.
But they never went back to school.
Senye tulikaa tukakuja tukasikia kuna jile msoma hapa.
And then they heard from somebody about Cheppema Children's Center.
Tukaomba pesa.
They borrowed money begged for money from neighbors.
Akatusaidia.
They were given money.
Tukapotea kwa njia mpaka tukafika hapa.
So they boarded a public service vehicle to Nakuru, and then, well, they got lost here and there along the way, but eventually they arrived at Cheppema.
Tulifika hapa.
When they arrived here,
baba tukaribisha.
And I received them.
Nifurahia kukaa hapa.
They are happy to be here.
Na nitafanya bidii.
And she's working hard in school now.
Nifanye.
How many brothers and how many sisters do you have?
Brother wangu ni mmoja na sister wangu ni watu wanne. Sasa wote tuko watano.
So Sylvia and her one brother and 4 sisters are all here at Cheppema.
Okay.
And they are all happy to be here.
Asante sana. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you, Cynthia.
He's not from Kenya, but he's one of our boys from Rwanda, and he's about 7 years old. He's now in what class? Standard 1? Top. He's in preschool. Yeah, so tell us, tuambie habari yako. Yeah, he was in Rwanda and he was at home with his parents. Yeah, the mother is the one who was struggling for them to look for food and other necessities. Most of the time she was not at home, she was out looking for food and for money to keep the home. The father was arrested, is in prison because of the Rwanda genocide, you can recall. But he was not involved in it, as he says, but he was implicated in it. But so the mother took care of the children, and she didn't have anything much. She was very poor, but she struggled to feed the children. And so because she had nothing practically, she decided to bring Rutaisre Shanse to this place.
Okay.
So the mother brought him here to be taken care of and to go to school, because he could not go to school while in Rwanda. Then I took care of him, I brought him in, and he's now doing well. He has been here for 3 years now.